Good evening and welcome to the Power of Now. I am Coach Mitchell.
And I'm Coach Darren.
And this is Inside Outside on Wellness Wednesday. Tonight, we really want to give you a preliminary overview of harvesting seeds for your spring crops and planting for the future.
Yes. So tonight, like I said, we're going to go a little bit more in depth in terms of getting your garden started. And, last week I covered a couple of things, but this week we just want to go a little bit further. And this is going to be actually more or less our first discussion that's going to be part of a series. And we're going to touch on it every week as we move through the various stages of getting you up and running. So these discussions are really geared toward those who have never gardened before or those who have never gardened indoors. Mm-hmm. We will discuss other methods for gardening indoors because our hope is to encourage and empower you to begin growing your own food. Now, we know, and Coach Mitchell and I, we've talked about this, and you probably seen it on different platforms, why it's important to begin learning how to do this.
Definitely.
You hear everybody talking about inflation, and I'm going to actually connect it to our last night's discussion, which was don't complain if you're not going to take action. So if you're one of those people who are complaining about, one, the cost of food, or you're involved in those discussions about, we don't know what they're putting in our food. We don't know what they're putting in our food.
Yeah.
Here is a solution. And you can no longer actually use the excuse of, well, I don't have a backyard. I don't have space. I don't have this. I don't have that. Because what we're going to show you is basically how to get started indoors and with little upfront money. And if you pull it off really well, you could even sell some of your produce.
Right. Now, we're not expecting everybody to, run out and become Farmer Brown or Farmer Wright or Farmer Slade. We're just giving you some practical solutions to, like Coach Darren said, if you see a problem, find the solution. And I think just introducing one or two vegetables or fruits into your organic environment, that it will help. It'll go a long way. Let's put it that way. It will go a long way. And again, there is nothing more exciting and exhilarating than seeing the fruits of your labor, something that you've planted, actually grow. And not just grow, but the end result to yield something that you can be proud of as well as consume. So with that being said, I just want to caveat real quick about the video. We do have it in portrait mode so that we could capture all of the wonderful seeds that we want to show you tonight. Quick, easy, simple to harvest. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, to source and to plant. So I just wanted to put that out there as to why, we seem a little far off. And the video is in vertical mode.
Yes.
And thank you, Sharice, for watching.
Yeah, and the seeds we have here are only a sample. And for anybody who's out there who may, participate in some of the other platforms that I'm on, I keep telling everybody, start saving your seeds. Even if you're not ready to garden, start saving your seeds. I cannot stress that enough. And like I said, what we have here, and Coach Mitchell, you just want to touch on, because I don't know if they can see the labels.
I will definitely demo what we have in front of us. So here we have a little handful of plum seeds. These actually had already started to, sprout a root, but we don't really want to force it just yet because we're not really going to be planting fruit trees just yet, but always good to have the seeds on hand. So when we're ready to do that, we've talked several times about our melon seeds. So these are watermelon seeds, red watermelon seeds, and we have planted as well as harvested a couple of watermelons this past planting
Yes.
season. We also have apple seeds. Again, I'm harvesting apple seeds because I do have a brother who wants to start his fruit trees in a portion of his yard. So he won't have to go out and buy mature trees or trees that have already started. He can buy one, but he will have seeds to continue his planting. Here we have lemon seeds, and I think Coach is going to show you next week what is already growing from the lemon seeds that we have planted. One I think is maybe two years old.
It's about 3 years old.
About 3 years old, and one is just maybe a couple of months where the seed is now beginning to show signs of growth and has leaves on it. We also have our bell pepper seeds. Now, this is, I think, one of the easiest seeds to harvest. This and tomatoes to harvest and to grow right on your windowsill. And it grows all season long, and it yields vegetable and fruit all season long. Here we have grape seeds. Again, we won't be planting these because they require room. And let me finish. Here we have mixed bell pepper seeds along with ghost pepper and Cajun pepper seeds.
Can I just jump in?
Yes.
Coach Mitchell said we have mixed seeds there. Now, we normally, again, separate our seeds and we bag them and we label them. But here's we have what we call mixed seeds because they got mixed up, and you can see just how small they are, that it's going to be too much trouble to try to separate them. So what we do is, I call them, that becomes part of our experimental, seeds. And worst case scenario, we'll throw them all in the same, we use grow bags now, all the same grow bags, and whatever happens, happens, and we're okay with that.
Absolutely. We're still going to yield a vegetable. We're going to yield peppers. What kind of peppers? We don't know. We won't know until we get them. And that's the surprise and the gift that nature gives back to you, right? We also have jalapeno seeds. These seeds, again, we like a lot of spicy food. So the jalapeno pepper seeds will also yield peppers all season long. And that's this year. That is this year. Now, I do want to just remind you that if you're planting seeds, just be mindful of the type of seed that you're planting and the space. For grape seeds, we won't be planting these here. Now, I may give my brother these seeds for this year because you need space to grow grapevines. And you have to have a really nice, fertile soil and climate for grapes to grow. So those are just some of the seeds that we have harvested this year. By no means is this the full portfolio of seeds because we have a huge crate that's just full of seeds that we have been accumulating over the years.
Yes.
And we will be planting them. I will be sharing them as I have with family and friends so that they can jumpstart their gardens and not have to go out and spend money on seeds. So these are, good evening. Thanks for joining, Fawn. Hi, Jesse. Thanks for joining. These are gifts that keep on giving, and not only just in the moment, but for a lifetime.
Yeah. And what's, like I said, your takeaway is, many of us, we've grown up and we just, we toss our seeds. We never thought much about it, especially if you're disconnected from your food sources. So if you've grown up in the city, in the urban areas, growing stuff just doesn't cross your mind. If you had a family, a friend who had a garden that actually grew produce, they were an anomaly, almost like a fascination. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to change that. And again, for many reasons. Now, some people could have a conspiracy theory that, all hell's going to break loose. You need to prepare. Might be true to that. We don't know. But you do need to, you really should just start, because there's benefits overall to growing your own food. and it doesn't cost that much. Like I said, all of our seeds are seeds from, all seeds in front of you anyway, and all the ones that we have bagged up are seeds from produce. And I just want to clarify something. You might hear us refer to some of these things as vegetables, but you pretty much know if it has a seed, it's not a vegetable, it's actually a fruit. But because they're commonly referred to as vegetables, we slip up and sometimes we refer to like the peppers, and tomatoes as vegetables, but technically they are a fruit.
Bottom line is, if you get it out of the produce department, it has a seed in it. You can harvest the seed, source the seed, and plant it. And Jesse, you can definitely plant a window garden.
Oh, absolutely.
It's until you can migrate outdoors, and also look in your community. There are community gardens where you can buy a garden bed, or some of them are even free to the community. You can purchase a bed and you can start very small. You can plant one type of vegetable or fruit and just work it throughout the season and yield your harvest at the end of a season. Spending one day a week in the garden. I mean, that's what, we did when we were in New Jersey. Especially because, I wasn't a proponent of plowing up my backyard. So having a community bed, a garden in a community bed served a purpose, and we were able to plant tomatoes, melons, corn, a variety of things. And we ate off that for a year and a half.
So let's get started. As I said, we have seeds, but I'm going to show you or share with you some of the things that you need. You're going to need a container, and here's the other thing too. We try to focus on a zero waste strategy, and what we're going to share with you is you can go out and buy. Let me back up a little. At this point, this first thing, we're going to talk about your seeds. All right, planting your seeds to create seedlings. All right, so this is like a couple steps before the actual plant. So you get your seeds. You're gonna need a container, and you can use just about anything for a container. You can go out and you can buy small pots, and I think I showed you last week we had the little pots about yay big. I had them
biodegradable.
I'll take this one out, but I had a couple of ones that weren't in use, but they're like this. They look like cardboard, and these are good because when you're ready to transplant your plant, you can just take that whole pot and stick it in a bigger pot, or actually outdoors in soil if that's what you want. But
we had a comment say, "Oh, we're farming. We're micro farming."
Yes, it's like a step before the step before farming.
Right, exactly.
But it's gardening, and it produces you get the same result, just maybe not the quantity.
Exactly. Not a high yield, but enough to sustain us. Right, for a season. You want to go ahead and finish talking about your containers, or?
Yes, I don't want to get. I don't want to soil you. So you have those containers. You also have these containers, which basically, if you ever bought anything from Lowe's or whatever, those are the little containers that the plant comes in. Yes, you can save those. You can ask somebody if they have any, or you can get the one that has I don't know if you can see that. I don't want to tilt it because it has dirt in it, it has soil in it. Sorry. You can get that to put your seeds in. And what you want is you always want to make sure that you have, as Coach Mitchell was pointing out, that you have drainage, that you have holes. So you could use, we're all familiar with the red cup parties. You could use those same cups, put a hole in the bottom, and you have a container that you can put, some soil in and plant your seeds. Sit up on a windowsill and you're fine. Now, along with that, you're going to want something to put those containers in. And I'm going to show you, to show you here, if you can see this container right here, and you see it has something growing in it, and I'm going to talk about that in a few, but that's just the same container that when you buy your fruit, that's what like your berries come in, little plastic container. Now, if you're focused or concerned about the environment, that's just a way of delaying, it's like a form of recycling or repurposing.
It's a starter kit.
Yes, so again, you don't have to go out and buy a pot. Now, the other thing is once you have those trays, if you can see the tray on the bottom, this tray you can get these from the dollar store, or you can use a Tupperware dish that you may have and you'll take your containers with the seeds in them that you just planted, and you'll sit that inside the tray because you want your water to drain. So again, you may have something already available. Like I said, if you have a Tupperware dish, you can use that.
And I just want to add too that this tray actually has grooves in it, and that way your containers, your starter kit, does not sit in a pool of water. So it's more like there are trenches in there, so your water drains down and it sits a little bit. Your starter kits sit above the water as the water drains, and you want to be mindful of that as well.
Well, and again, it's a nice to have, but it's not a requirement, such that if you're using something that you already have, and again, you're just trying to keep your costs low, and you're really just trying to experiment.
Right.
Let me see where this can go. The only thing that you really can't experiment with, I'm just per se, is I tell people again, you want soil, not dirt. So it's not like you just run outside and scoop up some dirt. You might get lucky, but you really want soil.
Right. And I just want to also say that spend some time in the dollar store because even pool noodles can help you if you don't have a container that has wells in it where your plants, your pots can sit above the water after it drains. You can take those pool noodles and you can slice circles and sit your starter kits or your planters, your pots, on top of them so that the water drains. It just creates that degree of separation that your seedlings need.
Yeah. And like I said, there's different stages because there's one point where you're going to do bottom watering. So you'll need what we call your starter kits to kind of sit, but you have to monitor it. And like I said, we'll talk about that in a second. So you got that. You got your trays, and then we're going to talk about your containers. But also now we want to talk about the soil. Now, if you go to Lowe's, you could buy a bag of soil. And when you're starting out with your seeds, you really want a different type of soil. So you don't want to look for potting mix, which are more or less for mature plants. And you don't want gardening because they have all different types of soil. You want something for seed, and actually say seedlings or a seed mix.
You say starter mix.
Yeah, something like that. So you want that, or as Coach Mitchell has in front of her.
Again, another great dollar store find. This is a seed starter mix. It's very compressed, and it's compressed in what is this? What size block is this? It's like a 2.4 ounce compressed starter mix composite, and it's like a coconut, what do you call it? Coconut hair, something like that. But what you do is you just drop this in a 2-quart flower pot and add water to it, and it expands. This will make 3 quarts of mix, and you just drop your seeds down in it after it expands. You break it up after it's fully absorbed the water, because you'll put this block, 2 cups of warm water, 2 minutes, mix it up, break it up. It will expand to fill a 3-quart pot. Put your seeds in it.
Yeah, but you're gonna want to scoop it out into smaller pots to get started.
Right. If you're doing smaller pots, you can scoop it out after it expands and just separate it into smaller pots and plant your seeds.
So you got that. You have. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say $1.25 at Dollar Tree. So again, very economical, very affordable. One block can get you started with maybe what, 4 small pots?
Well, if you go with the
If you go with the
ones,
mini pots,
yes, you could probably get 6
or more.
Yes,
Or more, because this is 3 quarts worth of starter mix.
And you can still go out and buy your seeds as well. And again, you go to the dollar store, you can get a pack of seeds for $1.25. You know, and you really will have enough seeds that, depending on how you plant them, that will actually last you a couple of years, because you're not going to use a whole pack, you know, in one season. And especially if you produce something, remember, whatever you grow will also have seeds which you can harvest, which is what we have in front, you know, of us. So again, you have your containers, you have your soil, you know, and then the other thing you want is going to be your light that you have to figure out. So you want to be able to, you have natural light, which again, a windowsill, if you got, again, a sun porch or something like that. And you basically want, what they say, you really want a south-facing window. That's the window that where you will get the most sunshine. And most people are like, well, how am I supposed to know which way is south? Take your phone out, just type in compass, and see which way the arrow points. Yeah. See,
just turn like a weather vane.
And it'll point you in the direction. And hopefully, you may not have a south-facing window, but that's your ideal spot. And if you don't have that, then your other option is you can get lights. There are, you know, something like you can get a grow light, but you know what they say for your seedlings when you're starting, don't use a grow light because they tend to charge more. You can use regular, you know, even a shop light,
right? They
call them.
But not necessary. Not to scare you off. It's not necessary. These are just some suggestions to help jumpstart, you know, your hopefully success of your planting.
Yeah. So like I said, if you have a window that's really good, and like I said, if not, we use, in addition to the window, we have a couple of clip-on lights. We actually have a grow light, but we also have a couple of clip-on lights that I had bought years ago, and they just, you know, kept them. And we threw a grow light bulb in it. You know, we got 2 of the light bulbs for like $7 off of Amazon. So now you have that, and you know, it's like, well, where do I go now? I have a tray, I have the containers, I have, you know, either the blocks here, or I actually have soil. And naturally, you want to say, how do I start planting? Well, what you do is you take a couple of seeds out, and you know, you prepare your soil. You want to do that before you actually put it in any of your pots. And you prepare, like your Coach Mitchell pointed out, if you were to use these and you put it in a larger, you know, pot, and you add water, then your soil will be moist, and you can then scoop that out and put it into smaller pots. And a little trick that I found was, you know, you take a pencil and you just stick your pencil in the middle of the pot to create a little hole, and you drop your seeds right in there, cover it up, and then, you know, that part's done. The other thing is when you're starting indoors is, go ahead.
No, I just want to show them that by using the pencil, how deep, and usually most,
good point.
Most seed packets will give you the depth, but if you use your pencil and you just use the silver piece as your guide, as your leveler, that'll give you the depth of your hole.
And that's a good rule of thumb. You know, they'll say that some seeds require a deeper depth and less, but I would say what Coach Mitchell just said, that's just a good rule of thumb. So instead of getting complicated with it, just use that. Put your, you know, little indentation in the soil, drop a couple of seeds, cover it up, and then stick it, your pot or whatever you use, your container, preferably in the tray. Now, if you're using, as you mentioned, you know, this tray, you're gonna put everything that you're trying to grow into one tray. You want, these trays come with a lid, almost like the same kind of lids that you might cook in. You know, it's a top that fits right over the lid, but it's clear, it's plastic. The purpose of that is to create your greenhouse effect, to create the humidity in the plant. So you're kind of almost like fooling it to make it think that it's, you know, that time of the season as if it was outside, but you're doing it indoors. So kind of like we'll say a hack.
Right, exactly. And I just want to clarify that this container, along with the dome, came from Amazon.
Okay.
Came from Amazon.
But they can get them from,
they can get the small trays like this from Dollar Tree.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And
I was just going to say, Jesse said he's a plant dad, and he's been thinking about how he can use that to help out and grow free food.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I saw that term about a year ago, and Jesse, I don't know if you know where you came across it, but there was a woman on, I don't know, she was on TikTok, but she said the term plant daddy, and it's how she did it. And I was actually in tears. That was the term that, oh, you're a plant daddy. You know, so again, here, what I've grown here, what you see starting to grow are from the tomatoes, okay? All of these are tomatoes that came from, and you might remember from a previous session, it was a tomato, we had several tomatoes that were sprouting inside. So it means that the seeds inside the tomato were trying to, it was like, let me out, you know? And that really comes when there's a change in temperature or it gets humid inside your place. Tomatoes will start, and they're not the only fruit, but they will just start to grow. And you can actually see the sprouts coming out of the tomato, as we said, inside, outside. It was really a very interesting thing to see. So even though it's a little early to plant tomatoes, it was like, is either throw the tomato out or let's experiment. And that's what this is. It's an experimentation. Took the sprouts out and again, put it into some smaller containers, and you can see that they'll start growing.
Yep, and I think you can see a picture of that on the page.
Yeah, I think I posted it.
Yeah, I think Coach posted a picture of that metamorphosis, you know, of that tomato, which was astounding. It was just so wonderful to see. But also, these tomato slips can actually be planted as soon as the threat of the first frost has passed.
Yeah, the last frost is gone.
The last frost. I'm sorry, the last frost has passed. We can plant these. We can transition these outside to our grow bags, to our containers, and we will be able to grow these tomatoes and eventually harvest more produce from that tomato that started to regrow itself.
Yes. You know, and like I said, this is all from one tomato, and it's not the only tray. We have another tray with more containers. Again, let's say it really came from 3 tomatoes that all started to sprout internally. Now, what I did, again, doing an experiment, that's me breaking up the tomato into smaller sprouts. I have one pot, a larger pot, where I took half a tomato that I had cut and put it in soil. And then another pot where I just took the whole tomato as is, sprouts and everything, and just stuck it in some soil, and to see how, you know, it all plays out.
Now, who can you thank that for?
Yeah, that came from Mitchell's mother. I always give her credit whenever I share that, because it just amazed me as I was learning about gardening. Just stick the whole thing in there, you know. So you want to do that because guess what? If you're going to throw it out anyway, why not just have a pot, you know? And which is really how I got into gardening was, you know, I had a pot that had soil in it that another plant had died. The pot had been sitting there. I just decided, you know what? Let me just see what happens. And one thing led to another, and I just continued. So you'll see here, now each one of these will grow into a vine, you know, of tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
And each one of those tomatoes will have a whole slew of seeds, and you see the exponential growth that how, why gardening just, or nature is just a good blueprint for life. So to your point, Jesse, if you really want to grow, to give away, this is a way you can start right now inside your home.
Absolutely. And they make delicious tomato sandwiches too. Oh, you can have tomato sandwiches all year long. But anyway, I'm sure people are wondering what you have here, Coach.
Yeah. Just one thing, I just want to go back to if you buy trays and they don't have a top, and actually it's probably even better even if they do have a top, and you get a tray basically about the depth that we showed you, and all of your pots fit inside the tray. One of the other things you could do is just cover the tray with saran wrap to create that, the humidity.
Mm-hmm.
And then once
just to give them an idea of the depth of the tray.
Yeah, once once the seedlings start to, sprout, or once the seeds start to germinate, then you can remove the saran wrap and then just let it grow. And if, again, with timing and everything, these probably will be a little ahead of schedule based off of this last frost date, where we are. So they may be ready to go outside before the temperature change. And again, it's possible, like I said, just switch them to a larger pot, let them keep growing, and they will, start producing tomatoes. They probably won't be as large if I keep them in indoors in a pot.
Right.
Now, last year we got really nice sized tomatoes, and we grew in a large pot. We have not grown anything in the ground yet, because that requires a little bit more work and effort.
And tools.
Yes, and tools. So we went from pots last year, and then in the fall we transitioned into grow bags. That allows us to move everything around to try to find out what works best. See, once you go on the ground, you don't have that luxury. So again, it allows us to separate, experiment, and then find out what works best.
Right.
So that's what I recommend starting out. Go for container gardening, and that includes, pots and grow bags.
Absolutely. Hi, Denise. Thanks for joining.
So, what you also see here, and I showed this also before, and I'm gonna try to see if I can lift it up. Well, I'll take that top off. That's the dome.
This is the dome.
Which again, dollar store.
A bell cloche.
Yep. Here's just a tray. It has seven seedling pots, which basically are all herbs. And then we have several of those. Again, just herb gardening. Again, for those who are, if you're on a natural, holistic, health and wellness journey, you know how important herbs are. So here is just trying to, grow them ourselves. And like I said, I have about 6 or 7 different types of herbs. And again, a pack of seeds for herbs. Again, you can get them dollar store, $1.25. So we're probably up to like maybe $5, $6 so far.
Right. Very inexpensive. Very, very economical.
Yes. And again, you get the health benefits. So if you are into health and wellness and you're going out and you're buying organic all the time, you might want to consider, what can I grow myself? What can I grow indoors? What can I grow based off the space that I have? And you'll end up, maybe as you go, introducing 1 or 2 new crops every year.
Yeah. And just in case you're wondering, these tags, these labels, you can get these off of Amazon. Maybe, pennies on the dollar. You can get a couple of hundred for less than $10, $20.
I think it was like $6 or something. Yeah. Or you can just make your own. Get some toothpicks and a piece of paper, whatever works for you.
Popsicle sticks.
Yes. All right. So what do we have here? This just kind of an addition. This is that's basil that's being propagated. Which propagated means, if you're not familiar with it, it's basically growing more plants from an existing plant.
I'm going to come out of frame and I'm going to try to show you the root that is growing on this stem. I hope you can see it. I hope you can see it, but it's going to produce some really nice, big, healthy leaves.
And then what will happen is once this starts to get roots, you put it in some soil and it will grow another full plant. And as you harvest from that plant, every time you harvest, it'll send a trigger to the plant to produce more. So you could really create a whole garden of, say, basil or anything from one, stem off of somebody else's plant. So again, propagation. Here is where, all right, this is a new gadget that you may have seen advertised. But, if you buy herbs, storing them can be a little hassle. And there's different ways you can, store your herbs to keep them fresh. This is just a contraption where you basically open it up.
To get a grip on it.
And you put your herbs inside. And there's a little spout in the rear for you to put water in.
Unplug it.
And add water.
Put your water, plug it back up, and you can sit this in the refrigerator just like this, and that preserves your herbs.
Yes. And again, you'll notice something similar between this and this, same concept, right? So, which means if you're storing these in your refrigerator and they're sitting in water, what are they going to do? They're going to continue to grow. So you're keeping them not only fresh, but you're also creating an environment where they will continue to grow. And then this is just a little mister, where you'll get into the habit of just misting your plants. Misting is really good when you do things like lemons or limes, because one of the things that will really kind of halt your show if you're doing indoor gardening is the humidity. You want to create so that the plants have the humidity because they need that for growth.
Right.
Misting them.
Misting is a lot better than a squirt bottle because the squirt bottle, you're, direct aim, but the mist, you're getting your leaves, you're getting everything that needs to be hit without drowning it or oversaturating it with water. Okay.
So
all right. Thank you. Thank you, Denise.
Hope that helps. We kind of covered quite a few things. And again, each week we're going to kind of build on it. So for those who are considering gardening indoors or for the first time, hope you stay with us because we're going to try to share everything that we've learned. So again, if you have questions, you know how you can hit us up on the group page. Any questions about the lights, about the soil.
And I think, one Inside Outside on Wellness Wednesday, maybe we'll shoot with my pineapple garden. Yes, it has become a garden in the background because I am totally infatuated with my pineapple plants and how well they are doing. And, who knows, maybe I'll become your go-to pineapple person. Not to purchase the fruit, but maybe you want to grow your own pineapples and you can purchase a pineapple plant from me because it breaks my heart to throw a pineapple crown away. I have to salvage them. So
and again, it goes part of what we call zero waste strategy. So what we're doing is we're just turning stuff over, and once you get into that mode and you get that hang of it, you're going to want to do the same thing. You're not going to want to throw something away because you're thinking, let me at least, if it's bad, let me at least try to experiment with it because, like we have the mixed seeds here, it's like, well, we can't separate them. I mean, we could, but that would be too toxic. So like I said, just throw them all together and see what happens.
Right. And we really can't go wrong. I mean, I think the only thing that would potentially destroy the crop is if we didn't plant them.
Right.
And I don't believe that, mixing the seeds because they're dry is going to interfere with it propagating. So I think, we're good in that regard, because again, whatever comes up is we're going to consume it, and it's going to be a surprise, and it's going to be, oh my goodness, look, this is what we're growing. So anyway, I think you get the gist. And again, if you want to procure pineapples, hey, I'm your lady for it. But I think that about covers it, Coach.
Yes. Are there any questions? I'm just good. Is anybody there who, again, is new to gardening, wants to start, like, who are the beginners out there?
Yeah, and you know what? And if you don't want to throw your hands up in the comments, always you can hit us up behind the scenes, and we will be more than happy to help walk you through the steps and the process.
So we encourage you to give it a try. And if you have children, what I'm saying, you want to encourage them, because this is about creating a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
It is a step in taking ownership of your health.
Jesse said he's interested.
Okay, good.
Good.
Most of my, I'll put it on the group page, but I'll be sharing most of my content once I put it in a good structure and format. So I'm glad to hear that we got one person who's interested. And that's pretty much it for me. So go hit up Dollar Tree, Dollar General, and start grabbing your plant supplies, because they're going to probably run out, because we're approaching the season.
Absolutely. I was going to say the season is fast approaching, and if you know anything about, most people begin to purchase their seeds and their supplies right about now. So anyway, listen, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And it's great to be back before you. I was out a couple of weeks. I was down last week, but it's good to be back, and so glad for the engagement. I'm Coach Mitchell.
I'm Coach Darren. Start saving your seeds now.
Start saving your seeds now. As I always say, if you do not start now, there can be no next. For Inside Outside on Wellness Wednesday, thank you for joining us. We'll see you back on The Power of Now next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Have an amazing evening. Thank you.